It really encompasses all of kind of the hydrologic cycle, if you will. So it's rivers, streams, lakes, could be the atmosphere, runoff, even looking at soils and agriculture, how that's related to crops, forest health, hydrology. There's a lot of jobs and careers that are water resource based. Just a lot of people don't connect the dots like that. So when you say water resources, it really could be engineers, hydrologists, even geologists that have that leaning, foresters, fisheries, biology, all that kind of good fun stuff. Specifically for this program, we're targeting hydrologic technicians. That would be people that work for the US government, for example, United States Geological Survey, monitoring streams and rivers and lakes, not just for water quantity, so the flow, but also the quality of the water. They work for state and federal agencies, tribes.
My name is Kim Cecil and I'm a hydrologic technician with the US Geological Survey. What I do for a living is I'm actually part of a stream monitoring network. We also do water quality and groundwater sampling and groundwater levels. I basically work in stream water as far as surface water. We come to sites like this where we have a specific elevation set for a gauge height, and then we come out and make periodic discharge measurements to help calculate flow. In this specific area, we have, I'll talk about the transducer. We have a piece of equipment in our gauge house here that helps us sense how high the water is. So we have a line and piping that runs out into the river that sends these little bubbles out, and those bubbles sense how much pressure is on it, and that can tell us how high our river is at the time. And then in order to measure, we use an array of different things. We used to use current meters, and then nowadays we use acoustic methods. So we have acoustic Dopplers that we use that actually have these little beams on the bottom of them that send out, kind of like a Doppler in a weather station. It sends out these sound waves into the particles in the river, and then it reflects off of those particles and tells us how fast those particles are moving, which helps us, know how fast the water is moving. So we use that to measure the actual flow across the river here. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was kind of clueless. I knew I loved to be outside, I love the outdoors, and I went down to our local community college, SCC, and just pulled a bunch of brochures and took them home and read them over and found that the Water Resources program at SCC offered classes I was, really curious about. They had weather and climate, they had fisheries classes, we actually did shop class there, and I was like, oh, this sounds great. We do a lot of internships in the summer for the students in the program right now. So I got in on an internship and got the job, and it's been great ever since.
And then there's another kind of subset specifically to this program, which is water and wastewater operations. So again, it's kind of the hidden things that a lot of people wouldn't know. There's huge demand and careers in water operations and wastewater operations. So every city, for example, has a water department. Every city will probably, of any size, has a wastewater department or some kind of a public, utility / engineering department that would oversee that. So there's really a wide array of jobs and careers that are possible within the water resources umbrella.
My name is Nikki Fighton, and I'm a water resource scientist, and I work for Spokane County Environmental Services. A water resource scientist generally studies the broad range of water on the planet, and that can include lakes or rivers or even oceans. Sometimes it's groundwater and aquifers. My specialty is in wetlands, which is where the two kind of come together. Surface water recharging the groundwater, and my focus is on finding areas that can be restored to historical wetland status to kind of enhance the health of the environment. Typically, I'm usually monitoring water levels and water temperatures to kind of get an idea throughout the year where our kind of aquifer and wetland water tables are, so we know how that might enhance, vegetation and wildlife habitat, and to be able to understand the ecosystem health. based on measuring data from the ground or measuring data from bird surveys or vegetation surveys. There's a variety of professions in water resource scientists, and a lot of us use a lot of the similar tools, data loggers, vegetation transects, but we use them in very different ways. As a wetland ecologist, I really focus on big picture habitat restoration, trying to include plant regrowth, wildlife habitat, water levels. But somebody like a hydrologic technician has a more specific focus on measuring the physical properties of water. Water resources are really important, and not only as humans do we rely on them, our environments rely on it, and our wildlife rely on it. And so it really feels like you're making a difference in the world by studying the science and contributing your findings to the greater community. And I think that alone would be a really exciting reason to come into the field.
These are high-paying career jobs, and they provide lots of opportunities for people, whether you want to just stay locally and work in your community, or you can work statewide, you can get out of the state, you can even get out of the country.